it's Varian. Welcome back to Tangled Talk with Team Awesome. Guys, this is episode 50, Set En Vous. This is the series finale episode. That is right, we are finally here, the finale of the series. Before we begin, we just want to say that we love this fandom so very much. We hope it will continue to live past for years to come.
Time to start Tangled Fandom Resurrection Part
2! But honestly, guys, leading up to this, before we get going, leading up to this episode, and I don't mean this episode of Tangle Talk, I mean this episode of the series, like, the fandom was, like, so great the last couple of days before the series finale. Like, there was so much positivity and love pouring out of the entire fandom that, like, it was overwhelming. Like, I was getting teary-eyed on a daily basis, not because the series was ending, but because the fandom was being so freaking great, and I loved it. So,
Yeah, everyone coming together really reminded me of With You by My Side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that became the fandom's anthem. It's like, how many series gives you the song that represents the fandom?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whose series does that? Our series does that. So, like, dang, guys, good job.
Oh, no, I was going to say on Sunday, like, maybe tomorrow we'll find to our sorrow. Our stories have come to an ending. Maybe we're fated to be separated. All that stuff.
Who knows where our paths might be bending. But also, guys, this is our reminder that this is not going to be our final episode of Tangled Talk. We still have a full series wrap-up plan for the upcoming weeks. Don't bug us about when it's coming out. We're on vacation, sort of.
Some of us, literally.
Yeah. And then we have another one planned for later this year to celebrate the 10 years of Tangled anniversary. And of course, if there are any new developments elsewhere in the world of Tangled, we will be sure to talk about that. Like, I mean, we've got Alan Menken's little, was that an actual tease or was that a just saying things to rile the fandom up? Alan, don't mess with us.
Somebody asked me if we would do an episode ripping on the live action when it came. And I was like, heck yeah, we will.
Yeah. See, here's my problem with that. It requires me to watch it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to want to do that, man.
I mean, I'll only rip on it if there isn't any Bastion. So if it's not the Bastion version, absolutely.
Yeah.
That comment had me
like,
dying.
If they decide to do the version with Bastion and Griffle and all them, like, dude, I will lose my freaking mind because that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not counting on it either. So,
yeah.
So, Set En Vous, the series finale of Tangled. The series finale.
It hurt.
This episode was directed by Ben Balistreri, Philip Pignani, and Shane Zalvin. It was written by Jace Ricci. The storyboards are by Ben Balistreri, Tom Caulfield, Jenny Yu Ching, Isabel Geddick, Anna Lencioni, Anthony Mazzata. Sorry, let me say that again. Anthony Mazzata, Caitlin Ritter, Wendy Sullivan, and Janessa Warren.
We got them all.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it's 3 episodes. They needed a bunch of directors and a bunch of board artists. So, I mean, and Tom, like, sure, Flynn Poster was his last official episode, but they did call him in for, like, I know that he did, like, he boarded the haircut, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, like, all I know that he boarded, and he hasn't, like, put up any pictures from that. And I'm like, I know the series is over, Tom, but leave alone. So we begin with a classic Eugene narration. Now, it's not truly classic because he does not begin the line with, "This is the story of how I died." In fact, right before we started talking, right before we started recording, I had mentioned that he should have said, "This is the story of how I died." Just kidding, it wasn't me this time.
He would.
Anyway, he absolutely would. But in his narration, he is telling us that this is a story of 2 best friends. We get a recap, and possibly, like, the best Tangled possible recap they could have done, because, like, how else are they going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, previously on Tangled does not sum up the this is the story of. So we get a recap of why Cass feels the way she does, and a brief history of the Sundrop and Moonstone. We also are reminded that Cass has the mind-controlled Brotherhood at her disposal, and is in cahoots with Zontiri, who has been manipulating Cassandra the entire time. It's a great little bit where Eugene talks about a goat-headed monster, and then it shows Milton sitting on Shorty, and he's like, "That's not what I meant." Not that goat-headed monster. As Eugene's voiceover ends, we find Rapunzel and Pascal are at the monument to the Sundrop, as Rapunzel states that there has to be a way to fix everything. Just then, Ariana appears, telling Rapunzel the story of the biggest fight she and Willow ever had. Ariana is here in a scene talking to Rapunzel for a good chunk of time.
It was amazing.
So beautiful.
This is the beginning of us knowing that this was going to be fan service the episode. Because it's basically like, if you were a fan of Tangled the series, you got something you wanted out of this episode. Even if it was only one thing, you got something you wanted out of this episode.
I got so many things. So
many things. When they were teens, Ariana recounts, Willow was so mad at Ariana during the fight that they had that she constructed a brick wall in their room. Ariana tried to communicate with her sister, very a la, do you want to build a snowman? But Willow wouldn't speak to her. Finally, Ariana took a sledgehammer to the wall, and the two women worked things out, endeavoring to never let anything stand between them again. Ariana tells Rapunzel that only she can get through to Cassandra, and after giving her daughter a kiss on the cheek and a cute little forehead touch, oh my gosh, the two ride back to the Snuggly Duckling, passing familiar sights as an instrumental of Wind in My Hair plays, and I will forever be salty that that is not on the soundtrack.
Right? This one had so many good scores.
Like, honestly, they could release a score soundtrack of just this episode. Like, they really could. It is so good. Before they arrive, inside the Snuggly Duckling, Eugene is trying to figure out what Rapunzel would do to lift everyone's spirits at a time like this. Rudiger shrugs at him, and he picks the raccoon up, suggesting that they all sing a bouncy tune, but the Coronans don't seem to be in a mood for that. Which is, like, awesome that, like, first of all, it's not technically Eugene's job to do that, but he's just, like, trying to help Rapunzel by doing what she would want while she's not there. And then Mr., sorry boys, I don't sing, is like, let's all sing a song! It's like, that's amazing.
He's like, let's sing a little ditty.
He's come so far. Lance pipes up, saying that even though Eugene lost the entire kingdom under his command, he's still holding his head up, and so can all of them. Edmund then speaks up, saying that he's sure Eugene has a plan to victory, but of course, Edmund being himself, he also speaks his inner thoughts aloud. Poor sap, he has no idea how doomed we are. Doomed, I tell you. Hold it together, Edmund. I believe in you, son.
I hyperventilated.
He's such a dork.
Great.
I was laughing so hard, and it was late, so I couldn't be too loud. But I was just like, oh my god!
Yeah, no, that was great. That was super duper great. Like, honestly, I was like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh please, is Edmund actually going to be like in this episode? And then Edmund's in this episode. Eugene thanks his father for his support, and it is at that moment that Rapunzel arrives, and she's got a game plan ready. She goes to the piano, and we get our first song of the episode, Through It All. Super happy that they kept us in the album version too, but this is the biggest challenge this kingdom has ever faced. No offense, Varian. It's so freaking cute. I love that bit. So Varian also can play the piano. So can Lance. Everybody sings, including Ariana. I guess they're just like, hey, Julie Bowen, I know that when we hired you, we asked you if you could sing, and you said no, not at all. Well, you've had an entire series to figure out how to sing a couple lines. Go. So, and go. So, and then Eugene and Rapunzel, like, basically do the little kingdom dance that they never got to do together. Like, it's so cute, like that arms up thing. God, that's so cute. I freaking love that. And the animation there is so pretty. I love it. With the troops sufficiently rallied, they leave the Snuggly Duckling, headed towards Corona. As they exit, Eugene throws a pitchfork to Kieran, and it is only then that he notices that Kieran has the mark of the Brotherhood. Rapunzel brings him out of his shock, and he compliments her rallying skills before kissing her. Yay! This is the third kiss of season 3. Like,
right.
What the heck, man? We have been deprived. What the heck, man?
It's okay.
After calling her Sunshine, which we all adore. I mean, he's really turned up the sunshine in season 3, too. Like, I swear
somebody
they were,
heard
like,
us.
They were, like, writing season 3 while we were watching season 1, and they, like, absolutely heard everything we were bitching about in season 1. Yes. More Sunshine! More Ariana! They're like, oh, okay.
Okay, here.
Here.
Just stop yelling at me.
Rapunzel realizes that over the last 3 years, she hasn't given him a cute little nickname. But as he points out, I've already got 3 names, and 2 of them are awful, so I think we're good. And we agree. But I also, like, love this, that, like, he acknowledges that he doesn't like the name Eugene Fitzherbert, but he still is proud of who Eugene Fitzherbert is. So, like, he still tells people to call him Eugene. He's not trying to go by a different moniker. But anyway, dear Jace, you could have contacted the Eugene fangirls if you needed nicknames, because we've got plenty of nicknames for him, and some of them are not safe for TVY7. So, just...
But most of them are
Most of them good.
Most
We
of
have
them.
lots.
I just call him Fitz Babe. That's what I call him. There we go. I can't say words.
Eugene asks Rapunzel if she thinks that they really have a fighting chance, since Cass has the Moonstone and the Brotherhood, and they have Shorty and Hamuel, who honestly have saved the day a lot, so, it's great to have them. Speaking of Hamuel, one of the things I really liked during the song through it all was when Rudiger pulled Hamuel off the dartboard and started using him as a sword, fighting Pascal, who's using a paper umbrella. So fun! It was great. I loved it. Cassandra also has Zontiri on her side, and Eugene doesn't think any of them are up to fighting an ancient demon. Overhearing them, Varian pipes up, saying that Demanitus wasn't prepared either. He banished Zontiri to some kind of netherworld with a device that was dismantled centuries ago. Rapunzel asks if he can rebuild it, and Varian informs her that the plans are in Demanitus's tomb. Eugene is sure no one knows where it is, but Rapunzel actually does. And it just happens to be on a snowy mountainside, which Eugene loathes. And there's actually an extended scene of this. I was so sad that didn't make it into the episode.
It's amazing.
But it was Janessa Warren did the boarding for this, and so Eugene's going off about it being in snow, and Rapunzel's like, oh, it's not so bad. The girls are having fun, and they look over and Kiera and Catalina are playing in the snow, and Eugene's like, yeah, that's pretty cute, and then he gets hit in the face with a snowball. And when he looks again, it turns out that Max is the one who threw the snowball, and he goes, how did a horse even make a snowball? And so then Pascal, who's on his shoulder, shrugs off all the snow that he is now wearing. And Lance goes strolling on by, saying that he thinks that this place is beautiful, and look at all the ice and the slippery slopes, and he falls down the hill because he's Lance. But, it was this great little bonus. I love the crew who show us this stuff. Because, this is the closest to behind the scenes we get. We might not get voiceovers with these deleted scenes, but we're getting, the animatics and stuff, and that's amazing. Back in Corona, Cassandra is wandering through the empty hallways of the castle. She ends up in her old room and goes to her armoire. We see lots of mementos from season 1, but her eyes finally land on the framed portrait that Rapunzel painted of them. And we actually, get a little brief, callback. We get to see her. Is that during the song? I hate that song.
Yes.
But we finally get to see the full picture before Eugene gets torn out. But anyway, we'll get to that later.
I have a whole note about it.
Good. Okay. Anger surging through her, she slams it down and begins to throw her belongings about. She finally comes along her handmaiden headdress and shoots a spike through it before exiting the room, and also, thus completely destroying the armoire in the process. Returning to our heroes, they have just arrived at a sheer cliff that leads upward to Demanitus's tomb. Demanitus's is a fun word to say. You should try it.
Yep.
As Rapunzel goes to climb it, Lance asks how she knows where the tomb is. As acting queen, I got to learn a lot of Corona's secrets, she tells him. And then she tells him that the great oak in Corona Park isn't an oak, nor is it great. And when Lance gasps, she says, I've said too much. Then Lance goes, you think you know a tree. I realize that part of what I love about that little moment is we don't get to see Rapunzel and Lance interact very often. And so this is this almost pointless aside, but it's so friendly, and I love it so much. And Rapunzel's so full of the colloquialisms in the last couple episodes. Seriously, I love it. She's her vocabulary has gotten completely casual, and she's long gone are the days when she doesn't know what a common phrase means. As the rest of the party climbs upwards, Eugene and Varian have a moment alone, and Eugene brings up Hector and Adira and wonders if Varian has thought about the possibility of Kieran also being under the control of the mind trap. Varian gets instantly defensive, and Eugene asks him to forget about it as they both begin to ascend. Reaching the top, we see Demanitus's tomb, a huge stone structure with many glyphs and etchings, including a large one of a monkey, of course, because it's Demanitus. There doesn't appear to be a door, but there is a riddle. I grow but do not live. I need air but do not breathe. Kiera and Catalina pipe in saying, a fish, a rabbit fish. But it turns out that they were just playing charades with Lance, who actually knows the answer, which is fire. And another moment that I love, where he's like, oh, by the way, the answer's fire. And Eugene's like, no, it's not. And Rapunzel's like, yeah, it is. I love that because, yay, it's great. Lance isn't a complete moron either. Rapunzel pulls a torch from Varian's backpack and ignites the glyphs, which, by the way, this is like a really cool torch because it's like a stick with a ball at the end, and when she breaks the ball, the chemicals, I guess, contact with oxygen just makes it insta-torch. It's like they're portable torches, and you don't need a match. They're so cool. Like, no variant. She ignites the glyphs, which glow brightly with the flames. 2 huge cogs jut out of the stone and begin to turn, revealing the entrance. As they enter, Rapunzel calls Eugene G-Bug, trying to give him a nickname, and Eugene hates it instantly, which of course means everybody in the fandom
It's perfect.
The fandom and the cast are all going to tease him and use it. Inside the tomb, they find a monkey paradise inhabited by Vigor's great-great-great-grand monkeys. Rapunzel finds a large book on a pedestal which contains the instructions on how to build the portal device. Meanwhile, Lance finds a large bejeweled device, which Varian deduces that the manages use to switch minds with Vigor. Lance is eager to press the big red button that the device sports, but Varian tells him no as Rapunzel and Eugene look over the book. A monkey comes down and snatches the book away. They give chase, and as they do, Lance is left alone with the device. He can't help his curiosity, and he presses the button, switching Varian's mind with one of the monkeys. Varian is furious, as is Eugene, who tells Lance to switch them back, but just as he's about to do so, he slips on a banana peel, and the beam hits Eugene, switching him with a monkey as well. Rapunzel uses a banana to get one of the monkeys to drop the book, but is then hit by the beam herself, putting her mind in that of the monkey she has just distracted. Lance makes quick work to try and turn everybody back, but shenanigans ensue. Finally, all back in their correct bodies, Rapunzel asks Varian if he can build a device. He can, but he'll have to build it inside the castle to be close enough to Zontiri, meaning they have to take it back under their control. And then, I love the bit where Eugene just snaps off the trigger. He's just like, nope, not happening anymore ever again. We are done with this nonsense. And honestly, I know that a lot of the fandom didn't like that scene, but I loved it because, first of all, it was a little bit of humor before we got into the really thick and heavy plot. And second of all, it was brief. So it's not like they made it drag on and on and on. They're like, no, here, have a 3-minute scene of monkeys. You know, I was fine with that scene. I thought it was really funny. We cut to Zontiri, who's in the chamber containing the Demanatus device. She taunts him once again and laughs maniacally because, she likes to taunt thin air, I guess. It's like, that's what she and Cass have in common, is that they're trying to, impress someone who's not there and can't be. Back near the duckling, everyone is preparing to storm the castle. Pascal and Owl return from a scouting mission and inform Rapunzel that they saw Adira and Hector, as well as his rhino and binturongs, with a whole bunch of really, sharp camouflaging on Pascal's part. She and Eugene realize that they'll have to get them away from their guard post so that Varian can get inside to build the machine. And while they do that, Rapunzel will go find Cass. Just then, Edmund cuts in. Such pluck in the face of adversary. She will certainly make an excellent daughter-in-law one day. Eugene is thoroughly embarrassed by his father speaking inner thoughts outward, but Edmund wasn't this time. He said it on purpose.
It was so cute.
I know. It was amazing.
I was like, yes!
We already knew that he felt that way, but it's really nice to actively hear it. It's great. I love it. So much good Edmund in this episode.
Oh, so good.
This reminds Rapunzel that they seem to be overdue for one of them to stumble through an awkward proposal. Eugene jokes with her, but then gets serious, worried that things won't work out in this fight. But she quickly reassures him that all will be fine, and at the end of the day, he will always be her new dream, and she'll always be his, which is like...
They're so gross.
They are.
Oh my god.
Stop being so disgustingly cute.
I love them so much. Elsewhere on the field, Kieran has donned his Dark Kingdom armor, and Varian presents him with the helmet, which he has polished. Kieran never thought he'd be in the armor again, but he is proud to have his son fighting by his side. A little instrumental version of Let Me Make You Proud here is just, mwah, it's perfect. It's well done. This is why I was a score this episode. God. Eugene calls for everyone to come together, and Rapunzel tells them the game plan to send Zontiri back to the Netherworld. They charge forward, running full speed towards Corona, all the way from the Snuggly Duckling. Arriving at the castle, the main doors are locked until Monster Rudiger breaks them down, and then they continue forward with Max standing guard at the entrance, which is I loved that little scene there. That was just the doors are locked. Now they're unlocked. Just Also, another thing I liked about this is that back in season 1, after we got, Battle Rudiger, people were like, oh man, can you imagine Varian riding Rudiger into battle after season 3? Okie dokie. Like I said, fan service the episode. Entering the throne room, it is surprisingly empty, but there is no time to waste. They need to build the machine. As they bring the components in, Rapunzel heads off to look for Cassandra. Instead, she finds Zandiri, who taunts her. But Rapunzel isn't having any of that and gives Zandiri some serious sass, like, dude. I was like, God, I love her. Unfortunately for Rapunzel, though, the solar eclipse has begun, and she begins to feel weak as the Coronan symbol on her dress begins to glow. Back in the throne room, Varian has finished the portal. And, like, this is fantastic little moment where Eugene just goes, "You're right, Varian, that was fast." And I'm just like, way to go, writers. You're just like, nah, this won't take long. Don't worry about it. He warns everyone that they'll need to be clear of the portal when they activate it, or they'll be trapped in limbo forever. Just then, Kieran's eyes begin to glow blue, and he attempts to pull the lever, saying, "For Cassandra," as he does. He is a sleeper agent, just like we've been, speculating all this time. But his helmet begins to glow yellow, and it shocks him, knocking him unconscious before he can flip the switch. As they rush to his side, Varian tells Eugene that he rigged his helmet with a temporary stun mechanism as a precaution, just in case he was under the control of the mind trap. Eugene is proud of Varian, but the teen is dejected, so Eugene suggests they move Kieran somewhere more comfortable. I want to know how that fail-safe shock thing
right?
Like, did Varian have a button on him that we didn't see him push, or did it, actively, sense his brain waves, and when they went to a different pattern, shock him? Dude, how does this work, kid? Dang. That is some next level stuff.
I was like, you just tased your dad. It's like, the show is wild.
I know, right?
Sometimes you just gotta tase your dad.
Honestly, though, it's like the ultimate in Varian's redemption is right at this moment, because his whole driving force the entire time was the safety of his dad, and now he's like, but I will take my dad down for the safety of Corona. So
Good
it's just
job,
like,
Varian.
Interesting. You have finally come full circle, Padawan, Full Jedi you are.
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. Ellie, has he made you proud?
Yes. My little alchemy boy.
Returning to Rapunzel, we see more power coming from her chest as Zantiri tells her to surrender, but she isn't one to give up, and with a burst of light and a rumble, the sun drop reappears on her chest in the form of a sun opal, which shocks her. Zantiri hissing at her and scurrying away like a cat is both hilarious and terrifying. It's just like, how is it that this child is, so creepy? That tongue was ridiculous, and just you're going all exorcist on us. This is, next level, man. But, I gotta say that the sun drop having a physical manifestation of a stone, bugs me. Just because, it came out of kind of nowhere,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of them things.
I agree.
Right. Yeah, it's just, I would think that it would be, I don't know, if anything, I would think it'd be a little liquid drop that just kind of swirls, not like an actual physical stone, because it was a sun drop. It was a liquid thing. Anyway.
It's all squid.
Having felt the rumble, Eugene and Edmund go to investigate, while Edmund instructs Hamuel to stay behind. Following orders, Hamuel finds a great perch to keep watch from, the lever to activate the portal. It turns on and sucks everybody in the room, save for an unconscious Kieran inside. Eugene arrives just as Shorty pulls the lever to shut it off, but not before he is sucked inside too. Well, ain't that a humdinger, Edmund says.
I love him so much!
That is, the greatest, that was the most unexpectedly understated thing anybody could have possibly have said in that moment, and who says humdinger anymore? It's amazing. That was so great. It just goes to show how out of touch he is with the world. It's fantastic. Also, when did Tangled turn into Gravity Falls?
Right? I was just
let's open portals and suck people into them.
They're like, we're gonna go into Portal World. I'm like, oh, cool. Is Tangled stuff gonna show up Rick and Morty?
Back with Rapunzel, she is searching the lower quarters of the castle and finds Cassandra's room. She sees the torn apart armoire and begins to sing I'd Give Anything, which was, we all hate this song. All of us.
It was so pointless in this episode. It should have been in a different one. If it was even going to exist.
At all.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, that out of context, context, I like it just fine.
Yeah.
In context,
If you think about it as Eugene, then it's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in context, I cannot stand this song. But I will say that fan service the episode continues as they give us a Casunzel ship song.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? We do see Rapunzel painting the picture that Cass has framed, and we also see Cass rip Eugene's side off, which is like hella rude, but at least we finally got to see the full picture.
Rapunzel's face when she did that.
The entire series to see, you know?
So funny.
Rapunzel looks understandably pissed while she does that, and we wonder again why Rapunzel cares for somebody who has always been terrible to her. Like, dude.
It's a mystery.
So yeah, the song happened, and that was that, and...
Coming to the window, she confides in Pascal that Cass can still be saved, because of course she does, and the sun drop glows as the eclipse continues. In Rapunzel's room, the moonstone glows on Cass's chest as well, and Zontiri arrives to tell her that Rapunzel is being weakened. It is time for Cass to claim all the power. But as Cass goes to leave, she traps Zontiri in a black rock cage because she doesn't trust her. But Zontiri doesn't seem too bothered about that. Well, what's the line? I've been in much worse prisons than this. Just like, you little sass monsters. However, I mean, honestly, for the first time in the entire season, good for you, Cass.
Right.
You know?
Finally, a good decision.
Right? And with that, we cut to a flashback. At Demanitus's tomb, we see a human Demanitus and a baby Vigor standing beside the portal device. He pleads with Zontiri, who looks similar to how she does now, but much more adult, longer face, kind of more Yzma-esque than even now, to give up her quest for power. She reminds him that they were once on this quest together, but he reminds her that she made it something darker and turned her back on what was right. But he turned his back on her as well. She tells him that as long as she lives, she will never stop trying to get the power of the sun drop and moonstone. Raising her trusty boomerang, which I'm glad they included because it just goes to show that it's her weapon of choice and always has been. She throws it at him, and just as he activates the device, and it sucks it in, pulling her in as well. She holds on desperately, promising him that she will get the power, and when she does, she will destroy his beloved Corona. She has finally sucked full through the portal, and Demanitus shuts down the device. Vigor confronts him, and Demanitus says that he had no choice but had to send her to the Lost Realm. Which, like, is all the backstory we ever get for them, but honestly, that was enough for me. Because, like, now it's like headcanon city, and anything that you want to be the truth is the truth. Yay. Now in the present-day Lost Realm, we see all those sucked into the portal drifting along in this unusual place. They all land in a cloud that looks like an ice cream sundae, but with a sarlacc pit attached to it, and are very confused. Let's see that they shouldn't worry and that he's sure Eugene will have them all back in no time. In the throne room, Eugene tells Edmund that they need to reopen the portal to get everyone back. But just then, the Binturongs appear and rid Kieran of his helmet, which Hector destroys as he appears. Kieran reawakens, and he and Hector begin to attack Eugene and Edmund. On one of the castle halls, Rapunzel finally comes face to face with Cass, who is hanging upside down for some reason, like Bat Cass. Like, I don't even know what the heck is up with. Cass says that she would expect Rapunzel to understand where she's coming from, and Rapunzel says that she does, and she knows that she can still fix things. She just needs Cass to trust her. But Cass says that the last time she asked her to trust her, Varian encased her in amber. Rapunzel says that that wasn't her plan, and Cass knows that, and tells Cass that this isn't her. Cass moves forward, and as the two women circle each other, their respective stones react to each other. Rapunzel asks if this is what Cass really wants, or if Zontiri has just filled her head with so much anger and hate that she doesn't even know what she wants anymore. But Cass knows what she wants. She wants the world to know that she comes second to no one. I love this conversation because, like, once again, Rapunzel is, like, yelling at the villain what we've been yelling at the villain the entire thing. So, like, yeah. It's great. I love it. Every time Rapunzel, like, lays into somebody who's been doing her wrong, I am so happy.
Right. Yes, girl. Get him.
Back with Eugene, he attempts to flip the portal switch only to be attacked by Hector. As the two spar, Edmund and Kieran fight in the background. Eugene remarks at how tough they are, and Edmund pipes in that they were trained by the best. Probably should not be proud of that fact at this moment. With both men knocked down, Eugene realizes that the only way to get to the machine is to reclaim the mind trap and to get the Brotherhood back on their side. And he knows just where to find it. Jumping on their horses, we get to see Domino again! I miss Domino!
Yay!
The two men ride out of Corona towards Cassandra's tower. In the castle, Rapunzel continues to plead with Cass, but Cass only wants her to give her the sun drop. But Rapunzel is ready to fight to protect her kingdom, and they begin to fight, with Rapunzel using her enhanced Sundrop powers. I love how, like, each of them only really need to say the incantation once in order to have complete control over these powers. It's just like, oh, it was literally, like, the unlock code, you know?
It's a cheat code.
A cheat code. As Eugene and Edmund ride, they are pursued by Hector on his rhino. He nearly catches up to them, but Eugene takes a detour, and they jump over a ravine, which the rhino cannot do. Eugene does his adorable and sexy little two-finger salute to the rhino before he rides off, and okay, not only is that, like, amazing, but that is, like, they're taking the same path that Rapunzel and Eugene took in the first 5 minutes of Tangled Before Ever After.
Mm-hmm.
That is the same ravine that they jumped over and Cap fell into. So, like, he just literally did the same trick that he did, like, 3 years ago. I actually think I like callbacks to earlier in the series better than callbacks to the movie, because callbacks to earlier in the series gives the series continuity with itself, you know.
Plus, sometimes some of the movie references make me angry. Like some of the ones that happen later in the episode.
Yeah.
You know, like, honestly, yeah. But honestly, like, I remember pausing here a moment to, you know, reminisce about earlier times in the Tangled series fandom. I remember when Tangled Before Ever After came out in the first several episodes, that the references were much less about the movie and much more about, like, the concept art. Like, do you remember when we kept, like, catching expressions that they only ever, like, used on, like, the face sheets or, like, poses that were on the character sheets and stuff like that, and how, like, basically you had to be, like, a really, really big Tangled fan to recognize these moments. And then, like, they became more and heavier movie references as the series went on. So gradually that, like, you didn't even really notice it until Rapunzel Day 1, that all of a sudden it's like, this is just entrenched in movie references now, you know? In the Lost Realm, everyone is exploring their strange new surroundings. Varian thinks that they are probably safe where they are now, but notices everyone is staring at him. Turns out his hair stripe has come to life and is now a snake, which is also wearing goggles, which I thought was just the funniest thing ever. I mean, R.I.P. to all Varian fans who thought that stripe meant something, but, like, those of us who didn't, that joke was just the best. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
I just like how the writers were like, it does mean something. It means snake.
Somebody asked me, okay, so are we gonna name the snake now? And I'm like, I don't know, Harrian?
That's great.
Yes.
Lance covers his eyes in fear, but an eyeball appears on his chin, followed by many all over his body. Frederick now has 2 torsos and no legs. He looks literally like a playing card. Ariana has sprouted bunny ears, very much like, you know, Lance's back in the Buddy song. Rudiger is covered in pink flowers, Big Nose's nose flies away, and Sam and Pete are conjoined. Varian realizes that this place is changing them, and if they don't get out soon, these changes may be irreversible. Shorty, on the other hand, nothing happens to Shorty, and he just says, welcome to my world. I don't like Shorty a lot, but, like, that little slice of moment was, like, pretty peak. As the moon continues to block out the sun, Zontiri is able to escape her cage by using an alchemical potion that she picked up in the chamber of the Demantis device. Like, it's a green glowing liquid in a vial, and she spins in a circle, and it drops her through the floor. So, you know, since Eugene's room is directly below Rapunzel's, now there's, like, a direct pathway between the 2 rooms.
Oh!
Thank you, Zontiri.
That's very good.
Busting through a wall, Cassandra and Rapunzel continue the fight. Cass begins to chuck vases at Rapunzel, but when she gets to one that Willow made, Rapunzel pleads with her to stop and was able to get the upper hand on Cass. I honestly think it's really cute that Cass just goes ahead and puts the vase down. And by the way, there was a picture of Umlaut on the vase. And then Cass goes and chucks, like, a whole bunch of vases at her at once. That one is still sitting pristinely on the pedestal. It's actually kind of a cute moment. Rapunzel pleads with her to stop and is able to get the upper hand on Cass. That is, until Cassandra uses Rapunzel's strength against her and traps her in a vise of black rocks. Because, you know, squishing people is how she do.
Yeah.
Arriving at Cassandra's tower, Edmund wonders why Eugene thought the Dark Kingdom was creepy. But Eugene says that he thought it was disturbing, not creepy. He thought Edmund's barehood was creepy. Dabney? You think Dabney is creepy? Well, fine. I thought your knee pads were not fashionable.
Nice. Nice, Eddie boy.
I love it, but I'm so frustrated.
Why does the Bear Hood get a name, but his wife does not?
She birthed Eugene. She's the most important female character other than Ariana and Rapunzel. She brought a god into the world. We do not name her.
Okay. Once again, canon is over. Fanon reigns supreme. She is Eleanor because that's what you said.
Thank you. That's my name.
At the castle, Cassandra uses her powers to lift both her and Rapunzel upward to Rapunzel's room so that the entire kingdom can see as Cass takes the power out of the Sundrop for herself. But Rapunzel wonders what she'll do afterwards. What or who will be left of her? Cass states that she doesn't need anyone else and further entraps Rapunzel. Stealing herself, Rapunzel bursts out of the rocks in a bright beam of light and goes after Cass. One thing I like that I'm going to go back to is when they were fighting in the hallway. I love how, like, Cass throws up this row of rocks, and Rapunzel straight up walks through them. Like, she doesn't move her hands or anything. She doesn't flinch. She just walks through them, and they crumble in her wake. It's amazing. Now at the top of Cass's tower, Eugene goes towards them. I love the pacing in this whole bit. Like, it just, the whole thing goes... The pacing in this episode was phenomenal. It really was. Like, at no point was I like, why? You know? Now at the top of Cass's tower, Eugene goes towards the mine trap, but Adira grabs it before he can. I love that, like, moment where you can see his reflection in it. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
She kicks him down, and not just kicks, she freaking heel drops him. Like, holy crap. Just as Hector also arrives with his posse, and Eugene slowly backs up towards Edmund, asking for his help. But in the real shocker of the episode, guess who else is asleep for Rachel?
This helped me get my bingo, man.
I'm so happy. I was also very sad though because I was watching the episode and it like went backwards and I couldn't skip forward.
I remember that. I remember that. Like, it was like, yeah! Yeah, it paused on you right there, and then the episode started over. I felt bad for you. But, like, honestly, though, like, the fandom had been wondering about him, and I'm like, I don't know, he's only got one arm. Maybe his symbol was on the arm that got torn off, you know?
The series said, nope!
Also, him removing his glove with his teeth was pretty awesome. I mean, not gonna lie.
So cool.
I don't get DILF vibes off of him, but I do like that moment.
I just love him, so, you know.
Yes.
Not romantically. That's safe for his son.
Back in the castle, Rapunzel begs Cass to give up the Moonstone, and together they can unite their two powers. But Cass won't budge. She tries to attack Rapunzel with the Shadow Blade, but Rapunzel destroys it with her empowered hair. She wraps Cass up in her hair just as the eclipse reaches its crescendo. At the tower, Eugene whimpers out a shocked "Dad?" as Edmund begins to advance on him. Confused, he asks if Edmund was a member of the Brotherhood all along, and pulling off his glove, Edmund reveals his own mark, telling Eugene that they all swore allegiance to the Moonstone. Adira throws Edmund the mine trap, and he tells Eugene that now that he's kept it away from Eugene, their allegiance will stay with Cassandra. Which, you know what? One thing this implies to me is that so long as the Brotherhood was acting on Cassandra's behalf, they could activate or inactivate any of the other members that they so chose. Because, like, chances are dang good that Edmund never felt any effects until that moment, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Adira grabs the mine trap, and she's like, oh, yeah, Cass didn't know about him, so then she activates him, you know? Eugene pleads with his father, saying that he doesn't want to fight, and Adira tells him that he doesn't stand a chance. And finally, we get it. The beautiful feral Eugene that was prophesied in the years ago. He isn't
my God,
back down when his
pulled
friends are
open
in
the Tangled art book and I was like, there it is!
He isn't prepared to back down when his friends are in danger, something he picked up from Rapunzel. Back in Corona, the kingdom begins to become engulfed in darkness as the moon blocks out the sun's light. With a flash, the eclipse is complete, and the light from the sun drop fades away, draining Rapunzel. The moonstone glows even brighter as Cass advances on Rapunzel, taunting her. We cut back to Eugene, who has clearly had the crap beaten out of him. I mean, they didn't show blood, they didn't show bruising, but his eyes kind of swollen. We know what's going on.
A little droopy.
He asks if they can call this one a draw, but Adira simply backhands him, and he's kicked around by the Brotherhood once more.
I like that he says that line again. I mean, it's a little different, but why don't we call this one a draw? Because he said that to Edmund when he first met him.
Yep. Adira throws his sword out of the tower, and it almost impales poor Hamuel, who was acting like one of those little water bird dipping bird thingies, you know, those ones on a desk. Max, seeing that it's Eugene's sword, races up the tower with determination in his eyes, and this is like the best Max scene in the entire series, because like, honestly, he has not been acting like Max from the movie. I love him, and I love the scenes he's in, but he's not really been acting like Max from the movie, and this is the first moment where he does. Eugene gets knocked down once more, and he's looking very worse for wear. The Brotherhood advances on him once more, with Edmund saying, "Well, Horace, looks like the long line of Dark Kings ends here. Dad, I beg you, if there's an ounce of compassion left in your heart, please stop calling me Horace." Like,
I love that boy.
He has to snark it to his dying breath. I love him.
Could you imagine if that was like his last words and Rapunzel finds that out later? She's like, "Are you kidding me?"
She'd kick his corpse.
His last first word, "I love you, Rapunzel. I'm sorry," nothing like that. Just don't call me Horace. Just then, Max arrives, and he isn't holding back, fighting with the Brotherhood with ease. Unfortunately, Hector has a trick up his sleeve, and he gives his Binturongs a net, which they use to trap Max. As Edmund does a little villain monologue, Eugene sneaks up behind him and uses his expert thieving skills to retrieve the mine trap from Edmund's pocket, which I freaking loved. Like, oh my god. Eugene, who has left thieving behind him, is like, it is useful right here, right now, and I really, really need it. Eugene gets his attention, showing him that he has the mine trap, and just as he's about to smash it, Edmund body slams him, making him drop it. Because, of course, Eugene had to be like, "Look what I've got," and not just smashy.
And Edmund's just
Eugene admonishes himself. Eugene admonishes himself for getting Edmund's attention, good, and crawls forward to grab the mine trap, but Edmund grabs it before he can reach it and draws his axe. Eugene, panicked, begins to try once more to speak with his father. "When I first found you, I resented you for leaving me, but now I realize that you were just trying to protect me. I understand the sacrifice you were forced to make, and I forgive you." Like,
I died.
So good.
I full on
as
died.
soon as this scene started happening, Ellie, I like knew you were going to like love this scene. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so funny. We were talking about the bingo cards earlier, and I seriously wouldn't have put that much Edmund on mine. I'm like, no, not gonna happen. He's not hardly gonna be in the episode, and then he's such a big part.
yeah, he's like a major player in this episode. As Eugene resigns himself to his fate, dying in a tower again, and doing that thing he does where every time he thinks he's gonna die, he just closes his eyes and accepts it. Stop that!
Might as well.
Edmund raises his axe to strike, but instead of bringing it down on Eugene, he hits the mine trap, destroying it and freeing the Brotherhood from their enslavement. Now free, Edmund reaches down and picks up Eugene with his one arm, holding his baby boy close, thanking him. Eugene hugs him in return, but quickly reminds him that Rapunzel is currently fighting for the fate of the kingdom. Oh right, bigger fish.
So cute.
So cute. In the Lost Realm, the now very changed Coronans are sitting in a circle, singing the Buddy song, or at least Lance is singing it to them. It's great. Lance is almost positive at this point that they'll be here forever. Just as all hope seems lost, though, the portal reopens and they're all sucked back into the real world and they look like themselves once more. Kieran, now free from the mine trap, has rescued them, and he's like standing there like a freaking superhero with his cape flapping in the breeze, and Varian runs to embrace him. Back in Rapunzel's room, Cassandra begins to pull the sun drop away from Rapunzel's body, turning her long hair brown once more, which was like awesome and was a little unexpected for me.
We were like, wait, what? Hold on.
Wait, what? What? Hang on. What's going on here? But as it drifts towards Cass, Zantiri jumps on Cassandra like a badger, taking the moonstone from her chest and making Cass's hair revert back to its natural color. And her bodysuit goes from black and blue to just like gray and taupe, you know? Mm-hmm. With both women weakened, Zantiri now possesses both stones And she delightfully thanks them for keeping her powers safe. Spinning around, like I was like really hoping for a villain song. Spinning around, she begins to absorb both powers, transforming back into her go-to-post demon monster self. From here on out, everything with Zantiri feels very much like Ursula at the end of The Little Mermaid.
Like her whole spin, I was like, come on.
And like, with like the tentacles erupting, I'm like, oh jeez. Varian is just double-checking the machine once more to make sure that it's ready to go when part of the ceiling collapses from the rumbling of her transformation and destroys the device. And I love this moment here because while Lance does not have a humongous role in the finale, his animation is great, and the few lines he does have are great, because right here he goes, oh, come on! It's like, oh, that was great. As the castle continues to shake, Ariana orders everyone to head outside, where they meet up with Eugene and the rest of the Brotherhood. They watch as Zantiri erupts from Rapunzel's room as she declares that the age of Zantiri has begun. If that thing is that little girl, she's hit a really unfortunate growth spurt. He's got a lot of like great one-liners, especially in the last part of the episode. It's so fun. As Zantiri boasts about her new power, Rapunzel uses her hair to snatch her wrist and tells her that while she is all for people living out their dreams, today not so much. But without the power of the sun drop, Zantiri easily breaks away. She then picks up Cass, telling her that she's lost even before she began, just like Gothel, fueled by her own ego. She throws Cass down to the ground, and as Rapunzel runs to her, both women are trapped in an intricate cage of yellow spikes. Intent on destroying Corona, Zantiri makes her way down to the courtyard, and Eugene tells everyone that they need to get as far away as possible. Edmund protests, and Eugene charges forward. So does Lance, followed by the rest of the group, crying, "For Corona, for Rapunzel."
Yes.
Yay! For a lot of characters in the series, that is their last line.
Yep.
That's a good last line.
Yeah. I do have an ask somewhere in my inbox about asking about everybody's first and last lines, and I will get to that. It's just buried somewhere, but I have been thinking about it a lot, and I keep thinking about various things, like Eugene's first line being, "This is the story of how I died and went to heaven," and his last line being, "I love you, Rapunzel," you know? So,
that's too cute.
It's great. Trapped inside their cage, Rapunzel is intent on breaking out, while Cass sits sadly behind her. Rapunzel begs her again for her help, but Cass breaks down. She has failed, and she wonders why Rapunzel won't give up on her. So do I. As she embraces Rapunzel, she admits that all of this was her fault, and that she was just trying to prove that she was more than everyone thought, but they were right. But Rapunzel disagrees, and Cassandra finally apologizes. In the courtyard, the battle rages on. Zantiri is surprised that they are fighting back, as she has always seen them as weak. Everyone charges forward, including Milton the Goat, which, like, there was, like, one person on Tumblr who made a crack post about, like, watch, Milton, or Zantiri is going to be brought down by, like, Milton. Someone's going to bring the bell, and he's just going to go ape and, like, destroy her. And then when Milton actually ran up and started headbutting him, they were like, I did not expect my crack post to, like, have any part of reality. But there it was. So that was
Welcome to the club.
Right? Back in the cage, Rapunzel tells Cass that when they first met, it was nearly 3 weeks before Cass laughed for the first time. Sure, she was just put in charge of a free-spirited flower child, so she might not have had much to smile about, but Rapunzel thought her first laugh was remarkable because she knew it was genuine. She felt like she got to see the real Cassandra for the first time. Cass wonders why Rapunzel is telling her this, and she says that after everything, she can still see the real Cass gazing back at her. She is Rapunzel's best friend, and she'll never give up on her. The Coronans continue to attack Zantiri, and she nearly squishes Ulf with one of her tentacles. I love this little moment because, like, he's just miming at her, and then, who was it? Big Nose and Attila see it coming, and they're just like, get him out of the way! So they just, like, move him, and it's cute. Kira and Catalina are throwing rocks at her, but she picks up Catalina, who promptly turns into a werewolf, but is quickly thrown back down. I liked Zantiri's expression being like, well, this was unexpected.
She's like, what the heck?
Varian shoots an
child at all.
Varian shoots an alchemical potion at her, but she quickly recovers, telling them that they are only prolonging their demise. She begins to trap the Coronans in yellow spike cages, and Eugene charges forward at her again, saying that she could have been a monkey like the manatees, but no, you just had to be whatever that is.
He's such a goober.
I know. She blocks his path, and Max throws him, landing him right inside one of Zantiri's tentacles. Inside? Yeah, inside, because it's like loops, yeah. She throws Eugene hard against the ground and begins to speak the reverse incantation. The darkness begins to cover Corona, and everyone begins to lose their life forces. Eugene grips his side where he had previously been stabbed and collapses to his knees. We're wondering if they got that idea from all of us thinking they did the same thing in Rapunzel and the Great Tree, which is possible, because we're like,
They're like, oh, Eugene's dying because he got stabbed before. They're like, no.
Like, this is literally the first time he's actually been affected by the reverse incantation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then this time, it's like, oh, my side, my stab wound. It's like, He got stabs.
Searching the debris for something, anything to get them out of his cage, Rapunzel tells Cass that her grabbing the Moonstone might have saved her life, because while the two powers do need to be reunited, no one knows what will happen when they are. If you ask me, I still think that because she was the literal Sundrop, that she would have been fine, but we'll never know because the series is over. If Adira's right, it'll be bad. Bad. See, that's another little colloquialism thing she does in this episode that I love. Cass thinks that they'll never find out since Antiri has both powers now, but Rapunzel refuses to think it's hopeless. Just then, Pascal reveals her journal, which was hidden in the debris. Rapunzel flips through it, looking back on her adventures until she finally reaches the front, reading her mother's inscription of Plus Set En Vous. Rapunzel tells Cass what it means and says that there is more in her. As Cass puts a hand to her chest, a faint blue light glows. Cass realizes that when Rapunzel cracked the Moonstone, the piece that broke off didn't go with Antiri and was left with her. Which, proved me wrong. I was like, I don't think that shard means anything. I think it's like a lock of hair. It's broken. It doesn't do anything. I was wrong. That's fine. I've been wrong before. This is not the worst thing I've been wrong about. She gives it to Rapunzel, saying that this is her destiny. And as Rapunzel takes it, the cage erupts, and her hair glows bright blonde once more. But now it's flickering, as the power fades in and out of it, meaning it won't last long. As Antiri moves to leave Corona, Rapunzel reappears in the courtyard, horrified by the destruction and loss of life. Pissed, Rapunzel slaps Antiri in the face with her hair and charges forward, leaping into the air, tying her hair around Antiri's horns and slamming her into the ground. Oh, but before we get too far, this was the perfect opportunity, I think, because somebody had asked me about this. Kelsey, make the noise! So this thing that Kelsey, when she was at my house and we were watching this, she would not stop cracking up at the noise that Zantiri's tiny little tentacles made when she was walking.
It was like,
make the noise, Kelsey!
It was like... It was so I told Amber, I was like, it was one of my favorite parts. Because she's this big menacing thing and then her tentacles are like...
ridiculous. So funny. Oh God, she was dying. It was great. Every time we watched it that weekend, she was dying. It was great. Rapunzel then runs to Eugene, who is just barely alive, and he reaches up to cup her cheek, much like he did when he died the last time. Pascal stays with Eugene as Rapunzel charges forward, not backing down. And I love this little moment here, too, because Pascal stays with Eugene, and every time he's not actively talking or moving, he's just laying there looking dead. But at least this time he's laying there looking dead with this little smile on his face. It was just like, wow, that's great. At least I can die happy because Rapunzel's got this. The two fight, and just as it looks as if Zantiri has bested Rapunzel, Cassandra comes in and knocks her out with a frying pan, which irritated me because why is Zantiri a one-hit KO? What the heck, man? What the heck?
Because references.
What the heck? What the heck? What the heck, man? Using this opportunity, the two women try to push Zantiri's wrists together, trying to reunite the two stones. Because bad. They almost have them together, but Zantiri awakens, throwing them both back. It seems as though she is too powerful, but Rapunzel recalls what Cass said earlier about turning your enemy's strength into a weakness, and they charge ahead, wrapping her wrists in Rapunzel's hair. Pulling back, they get Zantiri pinned and down against the side of a wall, her arms taut. Seeing a yellow rock spike, Cass sends it over to Rapunzel, and as soon as her hair turns brown, Rapunzel uses it to slice her hair off, sending Zantiri's wrists smashing together. And I'm actually getting emotional while I'm reading this, because this is exactly what I wanted. I've been saying since the very first episode that when Rapunzel gets a haircut, it has to be of her own free will because she's never had a say in the length of her hair in her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the instant she had her hand on that shard, I started bawling while we were watching the episode.
Aww.
It's just like I lost it. Like that was incredible for me. This was like, me getting everything that I really, really wanted. Because it's like, here's the thing. We knew the proposal was coming. That was happening. That was inevitable. But we didn't know how the haircut was going to happen. And so me getting what I wanted out of the haircut, that did a lot. And it clearly still does a lot because talking about it made me cry on the podcast. So, wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Where were we? All right. Okay. Now reunited, the Sundrop and Moonstone erupt in a bright beam of light, destroying Zontiri and ridding the world of the Black Rocks. As the eclipse ends, that was a long eclipse, guys. Like, seriously? Eclipses don't usually last that long. As the eclipse ends, two stones have now fused into one stone, a marbled mix of blue and yellow. Rapunzel gazes at the stone with amazement and tells Cass that they did it, but Cass doesn't respond. Somehow during the blast, Cass lost her
Put in
life.
somehow because it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I'm
Cass
like,
lost her
everyone
life.
else okay.
Okay, so talking to various people who worked on the show, I don't remember who exactly said this. It might have been Amber. But talking to various people on the show, basically it comes down to Eugene was supposed to die. In fact, it's possible that all of Corona was supposed to die. But Disney said that is too many dead bodies. 1 second.
Disney? Give me my corpses.
Which is why everybody looks very, very dead, except for maybe lethargic, blinking, or slight movement. Like, they tried to make everybody look as dead as possible without them being technically dead, because they were supposed to die.
So
Especially Eugene was supposed to die.
Corpses is what you're saying.
Exactly what I'm saying. Rapunzel cries over Cassandra's body, but realizes that she could use the power of the two stones to revive Cass and everyone else. Eugene, still holding on, pleads with her not to use it, but she's willing to take the chance with its immense power to bring back her friend. Approaching the stone, she begins to recite the healing incantation and is able to hold the stone in her hands. As the energy swirls through and around her, its waves pass over Cassandra and everyone else, reviving them. Going full goddess mode, even more than before, with short hair, which I did not see coming, Rapunzel lifts into the air, her eyes glowing yellow, and she shoots the power into the sky. Yeah, like literally sending the stone into the sky. It wasn't just like a random fireworks blast.
She
or nothing.
Kamehameha that.
She did. She did. Now collapsed on the ground, Pascal runs over to her and tries to shake her to waken her, to no avail. But a chameleon tongue to the ear is sure to waken anyone, and now Rapunzel understands how that feels. Eugene runs to her, embracing her tightly, his voice thick with emotion, as the rest of the Coronans make their way up the stairs to them. Pretty dang sure that this was where Zach's crying take was, but according to Chris Sonnenberg, the take was not good and they couldn't use it.
Boo!
So that was, we think, where Eugene was supposed to cry. So we didn't get to have that, but oh well. He didn't die, he didn't cry, whatever. Lame. Cass approaches them, but turns her head away, only to see Eugene reach out a hand to her. She takes it, and he pulls her into their group hug. We cut to some time later, where Eugene is gazing out at the giant hole in Rapunzel's bedroom wall, saying that it really opens up the space, even though it'll be chilly in the winter, but that's what blankets are for, and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I thought you
said that, and I was like, oh my god, Kelsey. I know exactly what she's thinking in this moment.
I was like, how dare you?
We were like helping each other, I swear to God. And I'm sitting there going, like, there is a hole in her floor leading directly to his room now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
see, fan service the episode. Everybody got something.
Everybody got something.
Even me.
Rapunzel thinks that they'll put the wall back up, though. And he says that she's the boss. Well, that's right, Eugeedles. No, we are also vetoing Eugeedles. Just, no. Eugene, I mean, G-Bug is like at least kind of laughably cute. Eugeedles is just awkward to say.
Yeah.
Like,
just call him Fitzbabe.
Cass appears in a new outfit. It's a very flattering new outfit. And she says that she could help Rapunzel think of some choice nicknames for Eugene. Though Cass is back to her dark and icy self, Eugene tells her that she was worth fighting for. She tells Eugene that she missed him too and tells Pascal to watch over them. I'm going to pause here to talk about the outfit because there's some really significant things about this outfit. So, one of Cassandra's primary colors previously has been red, like all along, but this one's green. So that's pretty dang cool. The clasp that is holding her cloak is ovular, but has a little chink missing out of it right where the break in the moonstone was. Mm-hmm. She's wearing the Cassandrium necklace, and she's got her handmaiden headdress is now tied around her left arm. Her gloves are mismatched, and her right hand has like a more noticeable armor on it. Although I don't think that her hand is still, burned up because she was hit with like hyper-powered healing incantation. So I think she's fine.
Yeah.
But considering the entire outfit is symbolic, she's got the mismatched gloves. And also she has her little blue pouch back, and we will never know what is in the little blue pouch.
It's like Eugene's little pouch.
Snacks.
What's in there?
We know what's in there. Tangled Fandom Resurrection buttons.
Oh, yes. Right.
We gave them to him, and he put them in there.
Oh, yes.
As Eugene and Rapunzel depart, the two women are left alone to say their goodbyes. Cass is heading out to find her own destiny, and Rapunzel tells her that as much as she hates to see her go, she knows that she needs to do this. The two tell each other that they love one another and embrace. Before Cass leaves, she grabs Rapunzel's crown and throws it to her, asking her what she's waiting for in relation to her own destiny. Exiting the room, Cass hugs her father, who's also sporting a nice new outfit, and they leave together.
We still don't know Cap's name. I thought for sure that, he's not Cap anymore, so we can't call him Cap, but no name for him.
Well, it's just like what Eleanor, whatever the fandom says his name is right.
Yep.
Rapunzel looks into her mirror, putting on her crown, and begins to sing Life After Happily Ever After finale. In the now fixed throne room, she dances around and recalls the many moments that have transpired here. And I'd like to say that Amber Vunich, loves the bit where she yeets Pascal into the air and then catches him. She revised that part off of those boards, and she just loves that part. So I wanted to do a shout out right there. Yeet! Running through the halls, she joins her parents in the fixed courtyard, and they embrace as their subjects watch on. Then we get the best thing, another classic Eugene narration. We see Eugene and Max working side by side to make the Corona Guard ship shape. Varian has become the royal science nerd expert and has brought hot running water to the kingdom, and all the while with his father by his side. Lance adopted Kira and Catalina, and he makes them schnitz pancakes!
I can't believe we got that. I'm so happy.
Okay, but here's one thing I love. I love that Eugene calls him Lance, which means he still goes by Lance, acknowledges that the girl's legal last name is Schnitz, which means that he accepts his last name, he just still goes by Lance. Now, we can't say that he's going by Lance Schnitz or if he's still going by Lance Strongbow, but either way, this is a huge case of, Lance is choosing to go by the name Lance while still acknowledging his former name, unlike Eugene, who was, pretending his former name didn't exist and then decided to go by it. So it's just, I love it. I don't know. It's great. And also, he says Angry and Catalina, which means that Angry is still okay with being called Angry, but everybody continues to respect Catalina's, real name. Yeah. So I love that little moment. Edmund, Adira, and Hector all return to the Dark Kingdom, which is now considerably less dark. The black rocks are gone, and the clouds aren't overhead anymore, and it's sunshiny, and it's very pretty. Edmund, now following Rapunzel's example, is going to set to work rebuilding the kingdom, and he and Eugene never lost touch again.
Which means, even though he's not still in Corona, the crows and the bees can be canon.
Yep.
Yep. Because of course he comes back for the wedding.
Yeah.
Of course. Cass set off with Fidela and Owl to find her destiny, which is cool because Fidela is not Cass's horse, so I guess Rapunzel gave her Fidela. Oh, and also at the very, very beginning of that whole narration, I guess Rapunzel's queen now. Okie dokie.
All right.
That Back in Corona, we finished the song with a big group shot. There are so many familiar faces in this shot. Trevor and the Seals, Lady Kane and her thugs, Vigor and Madame Canardis, Anthony the Weasel, the Marauder siblings, Aunt Willow, many of the princesses from the other kingdoms, the Hook brothers and Serafina, Vex and Quaid, the fake Giovanni, some of the Vodniks, Calliope, the Stabbingtons, and even Stallion, who is now dating Brock Thunderstrike.
Oh, I hated that so much. I already hated Brock. I didn't really hate Stallion, but I really hated them being together.
As the group shot fades into one of Rapunzel's drawings, the journal pages begin to flip backwards, and as the camera zooms out and the audience is having a heart attack because we are not getting our proposal, the journal closes as the screen fades to black. Actually, wait a second. There's little bit more.
I wasn't having a heart attack, though, about it not happening. I was having a heart attack because I thought for a hot second that it was going to be CG animated.
Oh.
Because it was, like, the journal was CG animated.
Would have passed out. I would have passed out.
I was like,
I don't know. I don't think they would have the budget to animate even that little screen in movie quality, and I would not want to see it in less than movie quality.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Kelsey is sitting here, and the journal is closing, and Kelsey are like, wait, what? Wait, what?
I was like,
what?
I am about to get in an Uber right now and fight somebody. Like,
I don't care. There's 1:30 in the morning. It was amazing. Time to fight. We see the OTP snuggling on a boat, looking out towards their kingdom, and both of their hairs looking fabulous. I guess it's the hot showers.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
they look amazing. Rapunzel says that a lot has happened since the first time that they were out here. Has it? I hadn't noticed. And she gets this, like, freaking adorable little giggle. And states that so much has changed, but Eugene can think of one thing that hasn't. He loves her just as much now as he did the first time he laid eyes on her, and she feels the same. This reminds him that he had brought her a celebratory cupcake because, guys, just in case you weren't aware, this is her 21st birthday. It ends on her 21st birthday. There's no lanterns, but I like to say that since they're sitting out here on a boat looking at the kingdom, the lanterns have come and the lanterns have gone and everybody else has gone home and they're just chilling out there extending the day.
It's her 21st and he got her a cupcake. It should be a bottle of wine, Eugene.
Dude,
come on,
did you see
Eugene.
Snuggly Duckling? Everybody was having beer in the Snuggly Duckling, okay? Even Varian.
Oh, guys, that's a child.
He's fine. He deserves it. You know what?
He pulls a cupcake from the picnic basket, getting a wink from Pascal. He presents it to her and asks her if she remembers the promise he made to her. Of course she does, and she reminds him that she asked him to be patient with her. He tells her that he intends to keep that promise for as long as she needs him to, but with everything that's happened, he thought he'd check in and see if maybe now is a good time too. Pascal uses his tongue to steal the cherry from the cupcake, and underneath it sits a ring. The ring from the wedding, not the one that he had before, a different ring. Rapunzel gasps, biting her lip, and Eugene asks her if she will marry him. There isn't a moment's hesitation before she breathes out yes. She repeats yes multiple times, tackling Eugene with a hug and placing her hand on his chest as they sit upright. Pulling the ring from the cupcake and, I hope, licking it off. I don't know. It's covered.
Nah.
Eugene slips it off his finger, and they gaze lovingly into each other's eyes. I love you, Eugene Fitzherbert. I love you, Rapunzel. And for speaking their final words in this series, the camera pans away as they begin to kiss, but Rapunzel, being Rapunzel, surprises Eugene by making the kiss more intense, throwing her arms around his neck and straddling his lap, and the scene fades, and that is the finale.
Woo!
End of the series, guys. No more Tangled. End of the series. Okay, guys, so, that was a heck of a series. So like we said, we are not done with the podcast yet. We've still got, 2 planned episodes, and, we'll throw in anything else. We're not going to do, if there's, a single little announcement, we're not going to be like, here's a 5-second podcast to announce the announcement. But, if there's stuff that's actually worth talking about, we'll talk about it. If we get more information about the, Tokyo theme park area that's all tangled up and with the ride and everything. If we hear more about the live action Rapunzel that they're working on, in case you guys didn't know what I was talking about before regarding Alan Menken and his teasing little tweet,
Shenanigans.
I'm the series ended, he made a tweet about, thanking everybody who worked on the show and how great it's been and what a journey it's been. And then he hinted that they might be working on a Broadway musical and a live action movie, which means that there's a big possibility that the live action is Tangled and not, just a generic Rapunzel, which of course it would be, because why wouldn't it be? So, I mean, I don't know. I hesitate to spend money to hate watch a movie, I really do. But
just wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
That's true. We could wait for it to come out in Disney. We could wait the 3 months and then we could do a podcast about watching a movie. That'd be fine. I can do that. But yeah, so I mean, we have a couple little small things going on here and there. For people who play Disney Emoji Blitz, Short-Haired Rapunzel and Gothel are going to show up in that this month.
Ooh, I gotta turn that game back on.
See, I keep not playing it, and then some event will happen, and I'll start playing it again. This time, it was somebody pointed that out to me before. I was like, oh, I guess I'll start playing it again. So I have. But yeah, so dang, this has been a heck of a ride, guys. Hey, I just quoted Rapunzel. So thanks for being with us for the long haul on this one. We know that this was a particularly lengthy podcast this time because it was a 3-episode podcast. Mm-hmm. Wow, this has been a lengthy podcast. Thanks for being with us through our laughter and through our tears, but we will have another podcast up again probably later this month because it's still pretty early in the month. We're not going to rush into doing that one, but we do have another one we want to do that reviews the series as a whole and our opinions of things and fun stuff. And so thanks for hanging out with us this time again, guys. Thank you for your patience. We know that this one took longer than most people wanted. And we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.